Everything works better when you have audio. So thank you once again. Welcome to another episode of the Banter Zone. That's the beauty of doing things live. Sometimes
They just don't work well.
sometimes you just make mistakes for no apparent reason whatsoever. So yeah. Well, a couple weeks out now since we've done one, but looks like this is going to be the trend now. Every 2 weeks we will be running these. And lots to talk about. There's been some crazy stuff that's happened. Obviously, most of you, if you're involved in the CPL whatsoever, you know what's going on. But yeah, it's been a good week. Super Bowl's coming. Battle of Alberta and the NHL side's back firing. But first of all, Harry, would you like to point out something? There's a dirty stain on.
I don't know if he just had some bad dinner or just woke up on the wrong side of the bed, but this jersey over your logo over your heart. Can you explain to everybody why you're wearing this nasty jersey?
I thought you were a Dortmund fan.
I am a Borussia Dortmund fan. I challenged my friend Joe, who is a Manchester United fan, such as yourselves.
Yes, I like Joe already.
Yes, to a two-legged FIFA contest in which I was the ultimate loser of by an aggregate score of 8-4. So unfortunately, I should have spent more time training and less time doing research for the show, because his punishment was a Chelsea shirt, because he knows that I don't particularly like Chelsea, and obviously as a United fan, he doesn't like Chelsea either. So that's basically why I'm wearing this. I brought another shirt with me. I was going to change into it. I was running a bit behind. They wouldn't let me change into it because they wanted me to honor the bet here on the show. So that's why I'm in a Chelsea kit.
And just to reiterate, he did zero homework for this show, so don't listen to him.
Yeah. Normally, Harry's the one that doesn't do the homework for the shows, but I don't know, for some reason he's all of a sudden been like doing more work and taking time, and he actually cares. Like he's watching soccer again, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's
not
insane.
that other weird football thing that he likes to watch.
Hey, one more week, all right?
Super Bowl
Super Bowl.
this Sunday.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good.
Oh yeah.
But lots of happening.
There's lots of madness everywhere, like with the CPL. Obviously, I mean, where do we start? Obviously,
You have to start with the expansion.
This is the only thing that is there to talk about right now.
I swear to God, only people are only going to watch the show just to hear about this expansion team.
Because our opinions matter.
Our opinions are the only ones that matter.
The worst kept secret of the CPL.
Yeah, it's funny because everybody's been talking about this for like 2 weeks, and it was like Espanol, and then there was these guys, and then it was like, oh, it's a Madrid, so it's Real Madrid, and then
And then they found the corporation like trademark that had been registered, so it was already kind of leaked that way through I believe it was either Twitter or Reddit. So it's like people already knew it was coming, and then obviously the most cheesiest of cheese videos from the league. I love those kind of videos.
I loved it. Actually,
like Sanchez playing the piano when he was I love cheesy unveilings like that, and that was as bad as it gets with the
Sanchez one was pretty bad. That one was embarrassing.
with the elevator and the 8th person running up. I love how somebody's takeaway in the comments was that the CPL office needs to lose some weight. when the person said in the comments, and I was like, "Are you kidding me? That's your takeaway from Ottawa coming like out of everything in that video."
So I'll start by firing off a question here to both of you guys. We'll start over on the other side with Harry. Harry, what are your thoughts on this Atletico Madrid stepping into the CPL? What does it mean for the league?
Amazing things. First thing first. Okay, we've talked about the direction that we're going within Canada with our youth. Okay, this is going to give the opportunity not only to watch ultra great youth come up from Atletico to play here in Canada and get some hours in, but at the same time, it's going to create, I think, just greatness. It's going to take the league from where it is right now and where we expect this league to be, and just literally high jump it to the next level. There's no choice. Most of these academies in Canada, doesn't matter where they are, they need to step up their game. They're no longer looking at Joe next door and being like, hey, you're going to be the head coach for this team because you used to play. No, it's like, we need somebody, we're going to start paying money, because I hate to use the word, but it's going to be a factory. Like Canada, we have the opportunity of creating that culture and take it to the next level and make something of ourselves. We have so much diversity here in Canada with our youth. There's no reason why we shouldn't. And Ottawa coming in or Atletico bringing this team to Ottawa is going to be one of the greatest things there are. And all I have to say is, the original Ottawa group, you guys are stupid.
Yeah, and I mean, but it almost kind of seems like, was it strategic and this was meant to happen this way, or it was like the group wanted nothing to do with it? Hunt still did, so he jumped over and said, you know what?
Yes, he was smart. He was smart about it.
Well, especially if a team from Spain with that kind of pedigree.
Not just a team from Spain, like you said, the pedigree there. It's a top 3 team in that nation. It is Champions League every single year.
Like some of the biggest names that are playing in the game right now have come out of that academy, specifically Courtois, Diego Costa, Griezmann.
What is it? It's something crazy, like 33 million euros or 33 something crazy. It's a crazy number of how much money they sell their players for, and they get back in within their academy to bring extra players in and new players in and spend that money for the training. So you got to think about that.
But I mean, it's a big move on their part. But we've heard it time and time again from various people in terms of sponsorships and other people looking in. They see Canada as an untapped market with huge possibility for brand exposure. It has been completely underwhelming what we in Canada have had in terms of football to support. And besides the MLS, there's been absolutely no stability in the leagues that have come around, right? So to that extent, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Red Bull or some of these other brands almost looking at this, if it goes well for Atletico Madrid and Ottawa, and try to get into that market. And that could be a way that the expansion happens in a much faster capacity. Obviously, I'm not saying Man City is going to be knocking down the door to start a team.
Why are you going to talk about Man City? Why couldn't you find a different team to use it as an example?
Only reason why, here's why. Because City has a team in Australia. They have a team in MLS.
Yeah.
They're spending. Manchester United doesn't spend money on their own players right now, so don't even go there.
It's because they don't have that Arab money.
Oh no, they don't have money. What are you talking? They got large money.
But like,
Woodward just needs to let go of the wallet. Woodward out. Okay, sorry.
I'm not saying that they're going to be, Man City or Etihad or whatever is going to be knocking down the door to invest in a team in Saskatchewan, right? But there's these markets that I think are still untapped, and for exposure and for building up fans of their organization, why not say, hey, this team invested in a club in our hometown and we support them because of this.
Yeah.
And I think this is terrific. I think there's going to be a lot of eyes on specifically this Ottawa team, not even obviously the league, but the Ottawa team in general, because I feel like there is interest in, okay, how does this foreign invested team do?
Yeah.
I could see it going 2 ways. I think they'll win the damn league, or I think they're bottom of the table because they've got 2 months, realistically 2 months to put together a team. And if CPL is bringing in rules about imports and stuff like that, yeah, they've got Spanish connections, but I mean, they've only got so many they can bring in if these rules are implemented, and they have to look at the Canadian players still available. I've heard Ben Fisk's name thrown around as somebody that could be linked directly there, and I mean,
if I were Fisk, I'm on a plane to Ottawa
right
away.
now.
It doesn't matter what that dollar sign is, because I guaranteed that coaching staff and everybody in that office, you're going to learn a lot more from them than, say, Pacific.
You learn from everywhere. Yeah, I mean, just like, it goes back to that. This is not a club like. Some of those clubs have more history than our country does. You know what I mean? Like 130-year history, where Canada is like it's roughly that old as well. So it's like the pedigree is just different level, man. Like,
and you know that there's going to be some sort of, I don't know, event or something. Like, you're going to be interacting with Atletico Madrid, in my opinion. I think there'll be some sort of going back there to train or something like that. There's going to be tours and stuff. That's a huge experience. We talked about last time we had the show, players that want to travel and do all that, and they value that more than playing in their home country. How about the best of both worlds? You get to play for a team that's essentially Spanish in the nation's capital.
Correct.
And I honestly think that, like I said, 2 ways. They're going to be bottom, but then the next year they're going to be strong because it is pretty last second. I mean, unless if Diego Costa's coming over on loan or something to that extent.
I don't know if we can even. I think him alone just on him as a loan spell, he would cost us more than the cap.
They'd have to put pylons out there just to field the team. Like that's all they have.
It's Costa and Cones.
Yeah,
but only for like
guess what? He's the keeper today.
Yeah.
Well, center back.
But it's like 3 months, and then they can't afford him, so they got to dump him and then bring in other people for free, a bunch of university kids to close out the season. Yeah, I think, and honestly, in my eyes, I think Atletico is going to be the team to beat because obviously they got to start from nothing, but they're going to have a certain level of pedigree with some of the guys coming. Are they going to have help from some of the coaches there to get started? Is it Guzman? Is he going to come back? Who knows what's going to happen in the whole spectrum? They've already lost some players that have gone already signed with some CPL teams. Carl Howard, he left and signed with another USL team. So they've lost a couple players already out of the Ottawa system. But from my understanding is that there was a kind of somewhat of a hold or something put on Canadian players that allowed, all right, like we need to do something here with Ottawa and allow them so nobody can just poach these players and they're unsignable at the moment.
And I've heard they have sent a list over as well to, I guess, whoever is in charge, upper management, about, okay, this is a list of Canadian players because who knows how familiar they are. Yeah. And obviously that's why I think Hunt stayed on and to kind of run operations here on this side of the pond because he obviously knows the system, knows the city, knows the team, and can be helpful in that regard. Whereas
it is a big thing because at least he already knows the community as well. So getting the community engagement, he's already there. He's already put in the time. He's put in the hour, and
he's one of the only guys that seem to actually care about it too, right? So I'm just scrolling through an article here, but it looks like. Manella went to York 9. Nana Atakor went to Oakland Roots. Carl Howard went to the Indy 11. Players that they're thinking are still available, that something that Ottawa would want. Max Tissot, 27-year-old, still pretty good. Langua from Halifax last year. Speed, like that guy was hard speed, like big, strong guy. Great wing back. And he's from Ottawa as well, so that obviously gives him quite a bit there. Monsalves as well, another ex-Ottawa Fury player. He's a little older, but he's, local North York guy. Zach Secunda, who had just recently signed and left to go play in, I believe it was the second division in Finland. Kenas IF. Copeland, former, and then Jonathan Valley, who's University of Laval, former FC Montreal, Ottawa Fury.
So, in terms of them participating this season, and this is a genuine question as I don't know, are they retroactively going to be added into the Canadian Championship?
From what I would say, because that schedule was already released, the Canadian Championship, that they're not making any changes to it. It's just like, you guys are out this year.
It's a testament, though, to how fast this has turned around, because I knew there was murmurs of this Ottawa team, obviously. Yeah. But if they're confident enough to release the the Canadian Championship schedule before it was had, you would have to think that if they knew this was coming, that they would hold off on that, right? So this must have happened in just a bat of an eye.
Yeah, it was either a case of Canada Soccer had to release the schedule because the MLS and their kickoff a little earlier, so they kind of got to get that sorted out with obviously Montreal Impact being. And Toronto FC, Whitecaps and stuff like that. And now they're battling with Montreal playing in the CONCACAF Champions League as well. Mm-hmm. So having to mimic those schedules, so it was like, we need to get this one out now. So the MLS is fine with it because they're obviously the priority with the big three. So that is virtually the way it is. Ottawa's out this year, but it's not. I guess it's a little bit shitty that they're not in, but at the same time they're in the CPL, and that's really all we wanted. So. 1 year out of a tournament, we'll deal with it. Whatever, right?
Nicest stadium now in the CPL. I believe they take that title from Pacific.
I would.
In my personal opinion, it was Pacific before, but I
think Pacific had the coolest. I mean, as far as like the stadium itself.
Definitely now Ottawa's up there.
Pacific would have been one of the better ones. Calvary's obviously Spruce Meadows is one of the most unique.
Craven Cottage kind of vibe, and very. It's made for football, whereas the others, it's obviously horse jumping, but it feels more like it's made for football than a 80,000-seater CFL stadium.
And even, like going to where Valor plays out of, and that thing is like, you could almost mimic that is the equivalent of what the Soulless Bowl is where Arsenal plays out of, because it's so big and so empty. And it's not empty because they just can't, but where are they going to get 33,000 people to go and fill up the stadium?
Do they even have that many people that go to Ticats games?
I don't know, probably not.
It's because they suck.
Tiger Bombers, Winnipeg.
Yeah, we're talking
Whatever.
Winnipeg.
So Winnipeg won it.
Well,
so I don't know how
no.
big they
So,
are.
sorry, my fault.
So
I
Ticats is about 20 something as
Yeah.
well, but that one sits. I mean, they have the highest attendance rate, but there's still about 8,000 people in the stadium. In the
Yeah.
finals when we were there, it looked full, but again, it's at CFL Stadium, so it doesn't have. It's so. It's like a bowl. The way that the stands go out like this, so when guys are yelling at you, it's far and it's mumbling.
Mhm.
Whereas like you go into a place when we were in Montreal, is the only one I can, or even Craven Cottage. Like when they're going to do a throw in, you could whisper into a player's ear that he's shit and he'll hear it because he's that close to you, right? Whereas in Hamilton it's a little different. There's a little bit more of a separation. You still hear it, but it's just chatter.
Yeah. That's actually something that they do very well at Signal Iduna Park, is they have specific, because it is quite an expanded bowl, but they also have specific roof panels purposely angled in to keep the sound from bouncing back.
Yeah, and that's why going to Craven Cottage is like it's so loud in that building because it's just it resonates inside and it's like so much louder than you would anticipate because Craven Cottage is not a massive
Yeah.
facility like Old Trafford or the Etihad or whatever, right? But it's damn loud in there, man. But yeah, we might as well. I mean, really, out of all the things that Ottawa was the big thing, and that was the biggest thing. So besides
Nobody's heard about what's happening in the Okanagan yet?
Well, the Okanagan's not going to get one right away. I mean,
I'm just starting a rumor.
being from there,
I hope
I would
so.
love it.
I'm just starting a rumor for no
If
reason.
If I won that
Dylan,
70 million, I'm going straight back home and I'm starting a CPL team,
That's
man.
what I said. Yeah, winning the lottery. I'm building a
That
great
Lotto
Kelowna.
Max, we're going straight back to Kelowna here.
Yeah.
We'll play out of the Apple Bowl, decent little stadium to start with.
No, I'm gonna buy a plot of land and I'm gonna build a city in my backyard, but I need that 70 mil to make that happen. Else it ain't happening.
I was about to say,
I
good
don't know.
luck.
If I
in-
was that 70 mil, it's like, I'm on a boat.
I'm not working again. What are you talking
I
about?
wish I could go for the rest of that song. But I'll leave it at
Yeah,
that.
that's as far as that one can go because this is PG somewhat. But you know what? Let's get into now. It's all the transfer talk. There's guys everywhere. Some big moves, some really big moves. Bigger than I think some of us ever anticipated. But why don't we kick it off with the one that was just announced today? We don't want to go back as far, a little bit farther. But Marco Bustos leaves Valor FC, signs with Pacific. There was a bit of stipulation this was going to happen for a while. Harry,
Good move.
Thoughts on the move?
Great move.
How come?
This player, he's a spark. He can bring not only justification to the pitch with the players he has. He has something that he can bring a spark to that crowd and create that energy to turn on that pitch and actually be able to put some points up. I think when he was with Valor, what are you smiling for? You enjoying your jersey?
Harry jaded.
He's so angry.
Harry hates Chelsea. If you don't know, Harry hates him. His dad's a Tottenham supporter, so they both equally hate Chelsea together.
It's just, can't deal
So
with
this
it.
is sour. So yeah, every time he looks at Dylan, he's got this like anger in his face.
But no, Valor didn't do him any justice. Him as a player, Valor, great stepping stone for you. You want to get in the CPL, you needed to start somewhere. But going to Pacific, it's going to change the dynamics, and especially with the players. I think he'll fit in extremely well. And honestly, I don't know. That's all I can say. Like, there's more I could say, but I don't want to go off the deep end with it. But smartest move for him, leaving Valor, going to Pacific. He's going to create a wave that you've never seen before.
Does he wish he held out a little bit longer for the Ottawa news?
No, I don't think so.
No, I think it was set in stone. Dylan, thoughts on that move?
It's like, I agree with Harry. I think it's a great move. And you look at Pacific now and you say, there's a lot of pieces there that weren't there last year. And it's not just relying now on Marcus Haber and Marcel de Jong, right? I think that there's some absolutely skilled and high caliber players. Whether or not they can put it all together with a new manager, I think is going to be what it boils down to. It's kind of like there's a lot of change going on.
But that's what you need. You need that reset button. Somebody had to hit it.
Yeah, for sure. I don't disagree, but sometimes when you hit that reset button, it's not an instant click, right? I think that they can be competitive this year and still not be where they want to be, and in 2-3 years' time, we could be talking about Pacific being back-to-back CPL champions. much to the chagrin of Kurt Larson, who
Seems
was
to be quite the advocate.
he
of
was
cavalry
quite
there.
the advocate of cavalry and forge, even though that
There was moments where he kind of didn't seem that way, and all of a sudden
Yeah.
it was like now
I was a
he's
bit
like
surprised about that.
gung ho with. But you know what, Kurt Larson, he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
He likes to trigger stuff, but he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't like. I mean, he's one of those guys like. He's like the Ryan Pinder in on the hockey side of things, or like Eric Francis. Either you love him or you hate him for their opinions,
Yeah.
right? But yeah, I honestly think I'll play devil's advocate on the Bustos one a little bit. You know, he came out of the Whitecaps, showed a bit of pedigree. He was showing that he was good. Got dropped, ended up going to play USL. Now going back, playing in a front line with Petrasso and Paolucci, two guys that were touted to be firepower. Didn't get it done there. Yeah, obviously, you know, he had showed moments. Some say he's a little predictable at times. Is he going to get that freedom in Pacific? You know, Pacific is their motto is relying on the youth still.
Correct.
Is that going to be hurtful for Bustos, or is Bustos going to take this moment to shine?
It's going to shine.
So I'm going to play devil's advocate. I'm going to say I think I'm going to see much of what we saw in year one. We'll see in year two. Obviously, Harry disagrees with me, Dylan.
I'm on the fence right now, to be honest. I think that whole Pacific squad, I'm on the fence about, because I think that they have all the right pieces, but we've seen that numerous times in the game of football. Sometimes you require more than just a bunch of talented players. There
Yeah.
needs to be something there to
It's a balance.
gel,
Balance.
and that's what I think Pacific fans are eagerly awaiting for. I think there is an optimism there that has not been matched yet. I
No,
think that their fans are absolutely ecstatic for the season to start, because I think there's a lot of them that think that this is the year.
But that's the thing with Pacific. There's still with their fans, okay, which is amazing. There's still going to be a bunch of lows for Pacific before they actually hit that high. But I think this is the right step in moving forward and getting that stride going.
Yeah, I definitely think they're going to be a top half team. I don't think they're any lower than fourth. But it's too early to be making those predictions, obviously. But I just think that Bustos is a positive ad, and I don't think that the amount of
Maybe smirky or whatever this is, somebody just had to shut himself
You're
up.
like, so I just want to say something. You're like, it's too early to make those predictions. Do you not know who we are? Or do you, well, at least me.
Yeah.
we can't be making these decisions in January still.
Do you know what Harry's prediction status has been? You know what? We need to tally this year. Like, actually keep track of statistics, because I know that a lot of Harry's predictions were against Cavalry. And they
Where
didn't work
Cavalry's
out.
prediction was, or where's Cavalry in the actual table, where Harry predicted
Oh, you're wrong.
the whole season long.
I gotta give it to Harry because he was sticking to his guns, hoping for that one time where Cavalry was actually gonna get pumped, and then he would be like, "I told you so," but it never happened.
Well, it did happen. It happened in the bloody CPL final, but there wasn't a moment where I think Harry was going to be going around being like, "I told you so."
But you know what? At that point, he shifted and he was like, "Yeah, Cavalry's gonna win it." What happens? It was
They lose.
Just Cavalry World. Just so you know, if you have anybody to blame about Cavalry losing, it was because Harry flipped the script and said they were going to lose all year long until the finals where he said they were going to win.
Well, because I was done. I was done going against them and being like, they're going to lose tonight. They're going to lose
And
tonight.
getting yelled at from players.
Oh,
from the
yeah.
field.
They're coming down the tunnel and they're like, you know, I got
I was a little worried for thinking, like, Dylan, slap him. But yeah, like Pacific has made some good moves. Coaching signing was good. Jamar Dixon, another ex-Ottawa Fury guy, and then Thomas Miller-Giguere and Marco Bustos, another one. So a couple decent signings for them.
They're low risk too. I mean, this league, we haven't seen like 5-year contracts being handed out. It's year to year for a lot of these guys,
Yeah.
with maybe an option for 2, right? So
Yeah.
I feel like if it doesn't work out, move on.
Yeah, exactly. So,
I'm sure somebody would pick him up.
Oh yeah, 100%. See, one player that did leave, Alex Gonzalez, Panamanian, left to go back to Sporting San Miguelito, which is in his native Panama. 25-year-old. They nicknamed. He's the one that Harry was saying. They nicknamed Makalele.
Makalele.
Which
It's like
is,
a
I believe, is,
ukulele.
that's,
Is that the
and
translation?
he played for Chelsea. So yeah,
Thank
but
God you're going back. No, joking.
Ben Fisk, Marcus Haber, and according to the website, it was
Marcus Haber again,
as well.
yeah.
But I think they were referring to Issy Nakajima Farron,
Yes.
which forgive me, but he was playing in the league out of the island currently. He's signed for a team there and he's playing a low league team. Whether it's a conditioning stint or it's like, yeah, I'm done. I'm over. Like, I'm done with my career. He's up there in age, right? It was only a matter of time before it. But yeah, it seems like Palma Maduka, he's got quite a bit going there for Pacific. So Pacific is...
It's a youth move.
Ben Fisk is going to stay.
You think?
Does he go to Ottawa?
Yeah.
Or does he go back to Edmonton?
No.
He's an Edmontonian. Edmonton's
Doesn't
still
matter.
got some spots to fill.
Yeah, go back to
If
Edmonton.
you-
Freeze your freaking butt off every year. Stay where you are.
I'm just saying that, like, you look at that team, and there's a lot of players in those sort of positions now. I don't know if he's going to make the cut at Pacific if he stays, and maybe that's why he's looking
Yeah,
at
they're-
playtime.
Yeah, because they're pretty loaded up front.
They're pretty loaded.
Yeah. And they're not young guys that are loaded. Like, there's some...
I know
talent
it's
out
about
there.
the youth, but I mean,
Their back. That's the thing is their front line's 35, their back line's 16. Right? They're,
that's where the youth comes in. It
yeah,
averages
exactly.
out.
So maybe
Well,
they're
it's
gonna
the
be one of
same
those
problem
teams
they
too.
had last season.
No.
They had,
But it
on
might-
paper, they had an amazing front.
Yeah.
But the back, you're like,
Yeah, their problem was conceding. So if guys step up and they're like, okay, maybe if they're scoring 4 or 5, they might, like we were talking earlier, they're going to lose games. They're going to win games 5-4. They'll be exciting games, but their goals against and
Well,
for are
that's
gonna
the
be
problem.
terrible, right? Which is, I mean, yeah.
but they
it's
have a
only
great
decent.
goaltender.
Anyways, so moving on.
Village? We know what Edmontonians think of Village when we were there. Because we sat in the Edmonton fan section for that one.
And Village, the best part was Village turning around. I won't say exactly what it said because it was really vulgar, but all you need to know is Village turned around and said, "Hey, my mom is in the stands." And then the only 3 guys that were like, "Ouch, that was a little harsh," were the non-Edmonton fans. But the FCM, as soon as he turned around, the Eddie supporters.
You
those
win
guys-
at that point if
Oh,
you get
yeah,
the keeper to turn around.
They got on him even worse about
Yeah.
it. But
Was it a Mother's Day?
yeah, and
That's
the
why,
song,
right? It was Mother's Day.
and the song that was sang.
Mother's Day.
Yeah.
It was Mother's Day.
And the song, the reference, I won't say the song and the lyrics, but if you could go onto YouTube and look up when there's an Addams Family from, if those of you that are old enough to know what the Addams Family is.
Brother, mother, sister, brother, stuff. Not good.
Not good. That's all you need to know. Go and find it because it's pretty funny.
But I can't.
It's it's funny if it's not happening to you because Village and everybody turns like, that's my mom's in the stands.
Who
And
is
just
the
like-
Valor keeper that was just getting it from the foot soldiers at one time too, and he turned around as well.
Tyson Farrago.
Yeah,
Turned around.
Fargo was not having it. Oh,
But the same thing, like you slip up like that, man, you're gonna get it even
But
worse.
good job, supporter groups. Like,
Yeah,
good
well,
job.
don't forget in these
You are
guys'
doing what you needed to do.
I know there's been times when I've heard some chants where I look back up and go, what did you just say? But it was not because it's vulgar. It was like that.
it didn't make
Like
sense.
maybe in your head it sounded like it was gonna be like something that was gonna maybe hit a player hard and it was gonna hurt him.
It's like
But
the old school
execution.
mama jokes. You're like, yeah, that was great. And then you're like,
Wait,
What?
That was terrible.
I'm just going to go over here.
Yeah. Here's another big one. Valor FC. Again, we go back to them and the kind of their turnaround they're having a bit. Brett Levy.
Complete redesign.
Like they're complete, strip it to the wood and rebuild already. Year 1. But you know what? That's when it's early. Things don't work out.
Hey, it's
make
not
the
like
switches.
it's a huge investment in a lot of these players, right?
Yeah. So Saskatchewan native Brett Levy, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Entire professional career with the Whitecaps, starting with the U23s in 2014, where he did play against Foothills a little bit coming up here. 49 appearances, 8 goals in the USL Whitecaps 2. Whitecaps 2016 and 2019 before he was being released. He was on the bench when Calgary played against Vancouver in Vancouver. I don't recall if he was when it was here or not. I'm not too sure. He could have been. But he's a good addition if he shows up to play. Because I mean, 26 years old, he's still got a lot of future ahead of him in the game, especially as a
Definitely, a few
midfield
years.
defender.
Yeah.
You play well into your mid 30s.
But I think he was like a cusp player for the MLS, and
Yeah.
without that proper chance to start, which I don't think he was ever going to get, to be completely honest.
They brought him in because he's a good bench player. Like, if you need him,
Yeah,
he's going to be able to
Canadian
play.
Championship games or CONCACAF
Correct.
games where you got those extra tournaments where he's good. Like you're
But-
confident enough to put him in for 30 minutes.
Question for both of you. So do you think him coming to the CPL now, playing in here with Valor, Do you think he's going to create, or when he hits a pitch and he's going to be the starter, do you think he's actually going to play like a starter, or do you think he needs, or do you, no, let me rephrase that. Do you think he needs to brush off understanding that he was not a starter, now he is a starter, and how is he going to do that?
I don't think any player should go into this league expecting to be a starter just because of where you've come from. I think that very quickly we've seen players lose their position in terms of starter, and there's been some big name guys that have rode the pine. So I think he needs to come in focused, and if he's going to be a key player for that back line of Valor, he needs to be in good form off the start. I don't think they have a lot of patience. I think if things aren't going well, they're going to rotate a lot, and I think they're going to be trying to see, okay, which of these players that we have we're going to keep, right? If it goes belly up again like it did early last season.
Where I will go with him is kind of in the same and almost opposite of what I said about David Edgar, because I thought, David Edgar hadn't seen meaningful minutes, stepped into Forge, dominated, played very well defensively. I think he's got a certain level as well, similar, that he's coming back to prove something. Now, there's a bit of pedigree in the Canadian side of things from him, so I would say either he's going to succumb to the pressure or he's going to shine in it. But I don't want to say no because I did that against Edgar and he did the opposite. So I'm going to say that he's going to come in and he's going to do very well for them. And he's going to be one of those. I think they miss that guy who's on the field controlling, like a Nick Ledgerwood type player. Guys that'll go when they're on the field, they dictate the play and they keep your guys calm and they control the game for you. Whereas
you just threw Nick Ledgerwood in there. Do you not remember a couple games last season when Nick was in the brunt middle of creating an argument or a pushing match and
he brings calmness to his team.
He does it so your other guys don't. You know what I mean? If there's one guy that's bringing that level and doing that, then the rest of you don't have to do it.
Quintessential enforcer in the game of football. He needs to be there, causing a stir. I don't think that's Nick's actual role, but I think he brings a calmness to your side, and I think his job was to obviously be a calming presence for a younger team. And I think Valor will also be going younger with some experienced guys, obviously there to guide them. I think they are going the same path as Pacific, because you can be good or you can be young. You can't be bad and old and experienced.
Of course you can be bad and old.
You shouldn't be.
You don't want to
be. You don't want to be. It's not an ideal situation.
Is that what happened to Halifax? No, they weren't that old. But Halifax.
Well, they were quite old on the back end.
Yeah, they had and it showed at times. And as soon as the string of games in Halifax, they have to do the most traveling at anybody, and but by the looks of it, and what Calgary had to do with our mid games in Montreal, and then having to go to Halifax to play, and then back to Calgary to play, 2 days off playing against Edmonton right after. Like there was 4 games in, I think it was 8 days or something like that. It was ridiculous. So, but yeah, Halifax was definitely one of the older ones.
Yeah, but that's where I think Valor's going to go with it.
So I'm going to say he's going to do well. Harry says no.
I'd say he'd do well. Chip on his shoulder. I think
I never
it
said
might
he
be
was
a slower
I never
start.
said he was going to be horrible.
Nobody said he wasn't going to do well.
The faith that you have in Valor is about the faith you have in Manchester United at this point.
Well, let's not even go there. Let's just move on because this could waste another 15. He just looked down at your jersey again. This could go another 15 minutes on just talking about how Harry does not like the jersey.
And we will be getting to the comments as well, because I know we have a handful of questions starting to pile up about various CPL elements.
You know what? We were at Halifax before we get a question. Do you want to jump into Halifax signing right now?
Yeah, I might as well. So
we already talked about Halifax.
That's true. That's true.
Jamaican international Alex Marshall, Halifax-based now all of a sudden, and he's highly touted as a prospect out of the Caribbean. 21-year-old, 11 appearances for the Reggae Boys, debuted on the Jamaican senior team at just 19 years old. 73 appearances for the Cavalier.
If he makes a bobsled team,
Jamaica.
Better.
Then you have to come to Calgary. Yeah, 73 appearances, 21 goals for them. But looks like he's got a little bit of pedigree. They said in 2017 he was linked with Leicester City, West Ham, Tottenham, Liverpool. After he had a good campaign with Cavalier, but nothing obviously came of that. Comfortable on either wing, plays a good number 10 role. Should have a bit bit more creativity than you saw to some of the players. And
He's
I
going
think
to
that's
bring
what
some fresh swagger.
yeah, because they kind of lacked that. They were kind of like stale. I found Halifax didn't have anything exciting. Like if you're a Halifax supporter, sorry for saying this, but your biggest player decided to go back to university mid-season because he went back to U Sport to finish out university. So obviously, you know, maybe there was something there that he didn't like and wasn't that happy.
Yeah, it's almost like they were very, I hate to say it, more like Newcastle in a way.
Just utterly disappointing all the time. Is that what you're getting?
Well,
blah.
not disappointing, but just
like relegated and then come up a couple years after.
like just very defensive-minded, offensive options, maybe not.
Blah.
Yeah, I mean,
Exactly.
the French would say, "Come see, come."
Yeah.
But I mean, that seems very Caribbean in flavor, and I love that.
Yeah, they always have been. I mean,
Well, obviously with
Trini
with Hart there, but
yeah, they got quite a bit of that.
And I think he will bring some extra swagger to the pitch. He's young enough that you're going to see him do some stuff that's extremely daring that they have not seen, and I'm excited for that.
Yeah,
It's like putting ketchup on your mac and cheese and hot dogs.
it's delicious. And they brought in that Daniel Kanumbe kid who's a fullback, and he's going to bring a bit of speed. He just drooled. Talking about hot dogs and mac and cheese. That's why I hear he drooled. So craft dinner. We're looking for you for a sponsorship. Louis Belango also left Valor FC to go to Halifax. That's a big one. And then they acquired. They came back at King Garcia, Christian Oxner, and Di Carolis. Are there kind of things? So they're looking. They looked on paper to be a bit more exciting than they were in the past.
another team that you would say with their signings, positive trending, but we can't say every team that was awful last year is going to positively trend and think that all the teams that were at the top are also going to drop out, right? So
No, but
it's tough to tell.
But the trends were created last year. What we saw on the table,
Yeah.
or how it was set on the table, I think that's the way it's going to start again. Until things start jiving with the new players, especially on all these teams. Valor's going to be one of them that we're going to have to see how they're going to work together and how they're going to drive. Preseason, all that other stuff is only one part of it.
Yeah.
But I think what we've seen on the table is the way it's going to sit until probably halfway through the spring league, and then we'll see a bit of a change happening.
Kind of like this season in itself, right? Where we saw Cavalry run away with it in the spring season, and then in that fall season it was substantially closer. There was matches where teams were beating teams that maybe you didn't think would.
Communication just got better on the pitch. Communication between the players, the coaching staff. Like, things started to come together.
Players
Not
got
for
used
Pacific, but
players got used to playing on the horse pitch.
Yeah. So we got a couple comments here, Logan Krupa, and this was a bit earlier talking about the salary cap limit with the old foreign ownership group. Obviously, with the salary cap, you're limited to, but teams that have that knowledge already, they can be more creative in knowing how they can do things. So for them to loan, 6 Atletico Madrid second-tier kids
And
to
then
come
have
in and play,
Atletico Madrid
oh my
pay
God.
100% of the
The
contract
salary.
salary,
You
so
know,
that
there's a little bit.
there's some loopholes there
Yeah,
for
there's a
sure.
little
They
bit
could
of-
there's
definitely.
loopholes and they've done it. But is it?
They're
Are we
going
going to see it?
Yeah.
Definitely not.
Logan does blame Harry, and I'm gonna go back to.
What does he
say-
blame me for?
I'm gonna say
Cavalry
that's
loss.
for Cavalry losing. And then he agrees that Pacific will be growing.
There we go. Keep leaving your comments. We will check them periodically.
now that
It's
we're
tough
now
for us to
check
be
them a little
live,
bit more.
obviously.
We'll check them a little bit more now. Now that I'll pay attention a little bit better. But yeah, Sean Clark. Here's one more. So he says, "How do you see the El Clasico going this year?" Right off the bat, Harry.
You know what? As well as we saw the Cavs step up and take it last year, and as much as I had advocated saying Edmonton's actually going to win a game for once, it's going to happen this year, okay? It will happen. Just the way that the team is coming together, the people they've let go, few players that are still lingering that still have not been signed yet, and the way Jeff Paulus is coming into this season is going to change the dynamic of El Clasico this year. Our Cavs have lost a few players. They've gained a few players at the same time. But I think it's going to be a tighter match due to the fact Edmonton's going to be able to score a few more goals. Fingers crossed. But I think it's going to be a great El Clasico, and I think it's something that you guys all started, and I think it's something that is just going to continue and grow and get tighter, and it's going to be an actual battle of Alberta like we're seeing in the NHL right now.
Yeah, I think
I
like
hope so, yeah, because that's been an exciting. Like the Battle of Alberta's been awesome right now. So it's
because it's been competitive for the first time in like how many years, right?
yeah.
And that's where I feel like it's going to get to if Cavalry keeps having their way with Edmonton. It's disappointing because as a casual or someone that wants the games to be competitive, going up to Edmonton and watching them blow them out, yeah, it's enjoyable if you're a Cavalry diehard or whatever.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
if you're a fan of the sport,
yeah, you don't want the Eddies to not score a bloody goal in the derby until like the last game of the season.
Yeah.
Like, it needs to be more competitive, and I think that I have faith in Jeff Paulus. I think that there's also a lot of pressure riding on him. I think if the Eddies aren't getting, I don't think if the Eddies get to where they want to be in the next year or two,
I give him one more season.
I
Jeff Paulus
think his
turn
head would
this
be
group
on.
around?
Yeah,
But you
I
gotta
hate
remember
to see
now,
it. I
he's
love
an
Jeff Paulus,
He's
but
an interim
still.
GM now, so maybe that role would change where maybe he'll step more into the GM role and then and maybe bring in a coach that can
they
do
need to
anything.
be.
I've already
competitive.
heard of a rumor, but I can't go there yet.
Yeah. Oh, why not?
I can't.
Was it somebody that you spoke with today that you can't talk
There
about?
might have been, but I am not
Well,
allowed
we
to
cannot.
speak.
We cannot talk about this person today. But actually, you don't even know about who this person was because he didn't even mention.
Don't worry, I'm with
started
you.
the conversation
I'm with you
and then-
guys.
Sorry.
I can't figure it out.
We'll let you know after because it's a confidential thing that's literally not allowed, and it was asked by a club that we cannot speak about it. But this is not even in Calgary. It was in.
And the worst part is they talked to me about it.
Yeah, that's just scary. That worries me even more. And then here's another angle to throw at it. It happened all while on something that was going on between Harry and something to do with Pinoca.
I was out there for a work
Home
meeting.
of the Stampeders. That's their junior B hockey team.
Oh, I was like, the Stampeders are in Calgary, bud.
Calgary.
No, that's their
Oh,
junior
that
B
one.
hockey
I
team.
was about to say, get on a plane, go back. Go to the West.
Keenan
See you later.
Starkle,
Get on the
starting
plane.
goalie,
You
represent.
have an airport out there?
Yeah.
It's like a landing strip somewhere.
I have no idea.
So yeah, Logan Krupa, Prince Amanda scares me for Edmonton. He's good, but he's young. Put the likes of a Jay Wheeldon that'll just clatter him. It'll really make him rethink the type. He's a good player. Prince Amanda's got a lot of quality, but he's young, right? So if you can
There
take him
needs
off
to
his
be
game,
some bounce back though from a lot of those guys.
Yeah, FC Edmonton, there's a lot of guys that got something to prove in year two this year for sure, especially against Cavalry.
They need
did it against Forge, they did it against other teams, but when it came to, for some reason, against Cavalry, 1 goal, 5 games.
I mean, their MVP was arguably their starting keeper. A guy that was not even supposed to be their starter
Yeah,
in Connor James.
yeah.
And obviously with the emergence of what's his name? Sorry, it's escaping me. Their young core that they had there, U of A alumni. Anyway,
G. Sarkara, who hasn't returned.
no, he hasn't
signed.
returned. I was,
Ajay Cabra as well isn't signed.
Hasn't signed us yet. But I
So
thought
there's a couple of those guys
yeah.
that but yeah, like the
But it
Bruno
might be a
Zebby,
last minute
Yeah.
thing.
Bruno Zebby also has not
Yes.
signed.
I think they're going to though, unless if they get some like trial or something
That's the
overseas,
thing, though.
right?
But it's the options, and the options are still on the table. I guarantee there's still communication going back and forth between these players and the club.
Yeah.
But of course, that's all behind closed doors, so we're not going to know about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we won't.
Non-disclosure act, right? They can't talk about that.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's the funny thing is because there's things that I know that I am not in liberty to say whatsoever, being working with Cavalry, which sucks at times because, I mean, you'd like to be able to talk about it, but again, if I didn't work there, I wouldn't know these things. It would all be stipulation, and we'd just be talking about stuff. So, I mean, we might as well stick with the Eddies, but like Sean Clark commented, Duran Lee, defender from Halifax, made the jump.
Alberta boy.
Played 8 matches for the Wanderers in 2019. Played with Vaughan Azzurri, Ontario League 1 in just prior to that, 24-year-old. Paulus has a bit of faith in him, left-footed defender, being a big priority for Jeff Paulus. And he's good with the ball at his feet. Big's maybe a bit of a different dimension, so left-footed. Does that pull Bruno out of the mix a little bit?
It might.
It's kind of weird, right? So,
But is it just putting the boot to the throat, being like, "Are we signing you or are we
Pressure.
not signing you?" Right?
yeah, pressure as well, right? Some pressure creates diamonds. Sometimes you gotta keep your starters honest, and if you're not producing, put somebody behind them that's gonna make them kind of
Yeah.
work a little bit harder, and next thing you know, these guys are doing what they should be doing. That's
Correct.
a job. Yeah, really not much other than that on Duran Lee. But let's go over to Calgary announcing finally a couple guys. Nico Pasquati returning.
And man with
Jay-
the arm.
Yeah.
Well, he has two, but I think that
Somebody said the man with the arm. They said that specifically. It's like, well, he never uses one. It's
I get it, but it's still the way he like contorts himself.
Yeah.
It's always just that one arm that's
Yeah, all the broadcasters, CPL, they'll have a heyday talking about him not foul throwing all the time again. So I wonder if he'll get in more trouble this year for his throws than he conventionally has now that guys are on him a bit.
they literally
much more
have the
closer.
entire referee like committee, and they're like, "All right, we're going through our Nico Pasquati part of the meeting
Yeah.
now."
Is this?
It's
a
probably
foul
like
throw?
90% of it. Different angles, different shots.
This is a foul throw. This isn't a foul throw. So they're just like, just let him do it, whatever. But yeah, him and Jay Wielden returning to Cavalry FC.
A lot of
Obviously.
rumors about Pasquati leaving. I
Yeah.
mean, there was.
He like
Did you see that post online? And then, of course,
signing day, and all of a sudden he's in Mallorca.
yeah, and then some of the guys having a bit of fun with it, and then people were like, "Oh, Nick Ledgerwood said he was in Finland or something like that," and goodbye and stuff. And then someone said, "You fool! Nick Ledgerwood is known to stir the pot, basically."
Yeah,
That's what Gramps does.
Yeah, Ledgerwood said something along the lines of like, "Oh, it looks Scandinavian," where he was sitting signing. It was a dinner table, probably. So
IKEA table.
there was a little bit of stipulation there as well, and I know that Oliver Platt from One Soccer said he confirmed that Elijah Adekube had gone to Valerenga on loan. It's a training stint more than not even a trial. Obviously, the training stint, if they're happy, they'll be like, you know what, maybe there's a little more, and then they'll bring you in for maybe a trial. But his brother's there, so he went out there to train with his brother. So really, I don't think there's too much to read into that. About
He is
Elijah.
signed on with Cavalry this year, or is he still a free agent?
That's a good question. He's signed. He signed at the same time as Joe Waterman.
This is who?
Elijah. Adekube.
Okay.
Him and Joe Waterman
So
at the
he'll
same
be
time.
back this year, hypothetically, if the Spanish club does not.
But I'm glad he's
Yeah.
doing what he's doing. I'm glad he's out there training with a different club right now.
Yeah,
It gives it's your perspective of the game that completely changes.
Yeah.
And yes, you know what? Tommy does a great job with it with his whole team. But at the same time, you take what Tommy's taught you, you go somewhere else during the off season, you just consistently keep training, come back, you bring back what you've learned
Yeah.
on a different aspect, and at the same time you listen to what Tommy's doing, and maybe that'll help change a little bit too with what's going on through Tommy's head, maybe,
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Feel
Like
the
Harry's
research.
bang on with that because now you're getting a level of now you go spend some time with guys that have a little bit more pedigree and have played in settings where people are football minds, whereas Canadians they aren't because they don't grow up playing soccer in the streets like you do in some other countries. So it's a different mentality. Whereas those guys have soccer mind first, then the skill and ability comes. Whereas Pasquati's he's fast, he's good with the ball at his feet, he can run and charge at any defender. But if he had a bit more of a soccer brain, he would be signing in probably top flights. I could see him with a little bit more soccer knowledge. He could be playing at a championship level in England in the second division because he's got the pace, he's got the speed. He's a hard-nosed grinder. Just needs that soccer brain a little more. It's not.
It'd be
his fault,
different
it's
if he
just
was
Canadian.
born in Leicester, not Lethbridge.
Exactly. If he was Leicester, he would probably be playing. He would be like it would be like a Jamie Vardy.
Yeah, he reminds me
Grit,
of that. Yeah,
right? But yeah.
And what
good
about
for them.
Wielden? I mean, let's not overlook that signing, obviously.
well, he was just signed because of his brother.
I mean, you have to still.
Harry likes when Jay yells at him because every time just to add a little bit of backstory, every time Jay sees Harry and Harry has made a comment, it seems like Jay found out about it, and Jay will confront him even if he's walking up the field and after a game, he's made some comments to Harry, and it's been pretty funny.
But honestly, I like Jay. Jay's a great guy. I just like busting. I don't know what you want to say.
You can get away with
a
saying.
bit of
Okay, I like
banter.
busting. I love the banter with Jay.
Yeah.
Because Jay, it's not like he takes it to heart, but there are times when I do say a few things, and he's like, "That's it. It's going down."
That's weird
now."
because Jay, he's one of those
I think the
guys that
Vancouver
he's
video
like,
set him
let's have
off
a
the
go.
worst. The
Yeah.
Vancouver,
Because I remember seeing him
Cavalry
after the game when they're walking to the dressing room, and I believe his words were, and he's pointing at me, and he's like, or no, I can't remember
He's
exactly.
like, we were going to get pumped, hey?
No, that's
Yeah,
what it was.
yeah,
This
yeah,
is
yeah.
Walking off the field, that's after
And that, just that grin on his face, and I'm just like,
okay, sorry, Jay. And then they
Go
go to
English.
Vancouver and then eliminate them after. So it's like, yeah, you got some words
But
for you.
I think he's still a decent option in the back. And,
You know what? He plays well in the back, and I know off camera I don't say a lot of this, but he is a big guy in the back, and you need a big guy like that. Somebody that can work, somebody that has that passion, has that emotion to actually push people around, like get in there with those dirty tackles.
Oh, he's got a football mind too, like we were talking about, obviously with his background of being from across the pond and stuff like that. And I
he
feel
was
like
an academy player for a while. He did some stints in other countries, in Belgium as well, which is funny because you listen to Jay Wielden, the Scouse of all Scouts, and he speaks French. It is the weirdest thing ever. But class guy, he's a guy that you want in the back because he's a guy that will dictate and keep the guys
Correct.
focused, keep your young guys focused. Sometimes he'll get on you and he'll make you wish you weren't on the field with him.
Well, yeah, he's got that intimidation level
Yeah.
where
That's his game. That's his game.
exactly it.
how many
he's
more
a-
seasons until he transitions into the coaching staff?
I don't
Is
know
what
how many more
want.
seasons it's going to take for his brother to keep signing him.
I mean,
At Thanksgiving dinner, just sorry, Jay. I'm not bringing the contract renewal this year.
yeah, that's gonna be an awkward conversation.
Hey, I just wanted to tell you.
I got one. Yeah, I would love to see what Wielden Senior's face would look like. 'Cause
Yeah, that would make it awkward for the entire family.
Goes and takes a coaching job at FC Edmonton. That'd be incredible. The Wielden
man.
brothers battling it out.
Jumping back over here, this one's a little bit, it's Valor, but it's a little bit different. This one I didn't know that he had already left, but Dylan Sacramento, who looked to get quite a bit of games in, he had 18 appearances for Valor, but he had left on loan in October. 24-year-old from Winnipeg. He's a Winnipeg native. He had went on loan to Hawke's Bay United in the New Zealand Premier League.
Okay.
Scored 3 goals on 8 appearances, and then now the kid goes and signs for the second division Irish side, Galway United. So good on Dylan Sacramento. That's a good move for a 24-year-old. Now you know maybe the move to New Zealand wasn't that great, but now you're going to play second division ball in Ireland. A little bit better.
A lot of debate actually about people's opinions on that move.
Yeah.
Some saying it's more of a lateral move, saying that
I
the
don't think
second
it's a
division
lateral
is
move.
Second division, I think financially it's not a lateral move at all. I think that's a cha-ching.
Yeah, it's all about the money. Like, yeah, I'm not going to hate the guy because he left for more money. I dislike the players that are lateral in a sense where they leave the CPL and they go somewhere else internationally, and they believe the grass is green on the other side, but they're getting paid less money to do what they were doing while they were playing in Canada. And I think that's the stupid move. So him going lateral, I'm going to disagree with that.
It's just what the internet says. But
I can't believe everything on the internet unless it comes out of my mouth.
well,
That's kind of scary.
just bring up the voice of the people. But I honestly think that it's a fine move for him. And like you said, when you get into that system over there, it's a lot easier to get eyes on you.
Yeah, you're right there.
You're right there.
You're across a street to get
Seriously.
over to England and over to even. if
And
you
he's
work
at that
for us.
age. What is he, 25?
24. Still
24.
A lot of
So
upside to him.
he still has, yeah.
A little bit on the older side. Obviously, when they're scouting, they're looking for young lads like 16 plus.
True.
But I think
But if you're looking for that
Well,
one person you can possibly throw on the bench, and when you're in that pick,
You're in a
guess
bind.
what?
looking for a bargain.
You're gonna throw him.
I
in.
could see him signing for like one day, like a Derby County or something
Yeah,
like
exactly.
that, right?
I could definitely see that.
I don't think he's ever going to get like, Chelsea or something like that.
No,
the
definitely
best
not.
team apparently in the world.
according
I'm
to
done.
according
According
to
Show's
to-
over. See you
Yeah.
later.
you heard it from Dylan Dodge's mouth yourselves.
No.
Chelsea is the greatest team. Anyways, I can't even finish that sentence. But
Hey,
yeah,
you know
so
what the
Dylan-
best part about Chelsea was? At least they beat Bayern in the final of the
yeah,
Champions
I guess.
League.
Yeah.
That made a Dortmund fan.
I don't care what you have to say. Anything positive, you're still wearing that jersey, so everything's
Yeah, I
negative
know,
towards
I
you right
still
now.
have
All
to.
right. No.
Should have had the Newcastle kit this time around. Wore that, and may I say, Potsy was loving it.
Yeah.
The Geordies love it.
Oh God, where are we at? Where are we at?
Now we jump over to another guy who left Valor, and this was the kind of guy that came in with a bit more pedigree. But Michael Petrasso jumps ship, signs a contract with York 9 FC, so made the trip across the lakes there, and not a very far jump, but
Okay,
York
I have
9.
a quick question. Okay, and maybe
I'm worried about this.
with what? Like honestly, I know it's an easy answer, but why do you think Valor literally just blew everything apart? And why are we seeing all these other players that could have stayed in there, maybe change a couple, maybe add or change a couple pieces, to possibly be successful. But why did they go straight back down to the drawing board?
I don't think the board had a choice, to be fair, based on the results and the personnel that were involved. I think a lot of the players forced their moves, and I think that from a player perspective, maybe there's something going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. Maybe the culture isn't all it's cracked up to be. Valor has been very coy with their signings, but I mean, if I were them, I'd be trying to announce somebody, because it just seems really depressing right now with all the players announcing that they're leaving.
Yeah, it almost looks the opposite. Even though some of the guys that are coming in, like there's another one that we're going to talk about here that's jumped over, and he's a bit of a, there's quite a bit of controversy. But yeah, like you're right. I think it was, the perception is that things aren't good right now for Valor, but behind closed doors, is it? Probably it's fine. Players have left. Nobody has really. They haven't released very many people coming back in, so it kind of gives that perception that fire sale, like we're done. You know, maybe guys didn't exercise contracts, or Rob Gale was like, you didn't perform, you didn't do your. Their problem was inconsistency. They had some great games, then they had some absolute bombs. 8-0 being.
Oh, that was just popped into my head.
Yeah, like a nice snowman in soccer is something that is almost unheard of. Like to be 8-0 is ridiculous. So that was like a complete shambolic.
So do you believe, seeing what we've just seen this season, if it doesn't go the way, it does not go Rob Gale's way once again, are we going to see this again next season?
I think it'll go back to what Dylan said last year, and that Rob Gale could be the first head coach fired.
That was my predictions for this season. I thought Silberbauer was going to outlast him, but and obviously not a slight on either of them. I think they were both in tough positions, but at the same time, I think the mercy of the first season under your belt is kind of done. But at the same time, does that mean that Valor is going to be going younger? Like, I know they've announced some guys, and like we said, we'll get to, they're a bit older, but at the same time, like, they have to be going younger, because they can't possibly be getting in all these experienced guys and expect them to be competitive this year. I mean, they very well might surprise. They might be a team that comes out flying and wins the spring division. Who knows?
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing about that sprint at the spring, and obviously we've yet to hear if it's continuing to be that or not.
Or
but
if it's a one-off, one league.
I think that truthfully that there needs to be a change in the direction of the club. Obviously, if they're going to develop younger guys, there needs to be that patience, and maybe they put the trust in Rob.
I think, I mean, he deserves it. He holds a bit of pedigree on the Canadian side of things. He deserves a bit of that respect, and I think that's why he's still there.
Yeah.
I don't think it was all him. It seems like at times, the guys just weren't executing, and it was ridiculous, some of the mistakes that they made at times. And maybe it was having the front three of the same type of players that are like Petrasso and Bustos and
That's
Paolucci.
more controversy right there. You're deciding to your team.
They're the same. Yeah, they're the same type. Those three guys are the same players, but most of them are gone now. I think Paolucci is the only one that was left, possibly, or he might be gone as well.
But Petrasso's there now.
But Petrasso's he went to York.
He went to York.
Yeah. So, but all those guys kind of split up. But those two guys were all similar, kind of predictable, all forward, gritty players. But as soon as you put a bit of weight on them, they lose the ball and they kind of shut down. So nobody to kind of carry that torch for the team, I think, and that's what they.
I mean, Valor had a very interesting situation too, because a lot of these clubs had a bit of familiarity with themselves, right? Obviously, Cavalry is basically the reincarnation of that Foothills PDL championship-winning team. Yeah. York had ties to Sigma. Forge had ties to Sigma. There was some familiarity at the Halifax side in terms of the Trinidad and Tobago national team, and FC Edmonton was obviously a functioning machine before, so Valor was one of the odd ones out in that regard. I felt like there wasn't any big cohesion there ahead of time.
Yeah, and it's funny plays too, because it kind of proved that a bit of chemistry doesn't matter who you have on your team. Chemistry.
Valor did have a big technical sign. Like, I don't know if you want to call it a big signing, but a big signing just happened for Valor.
Yeah, that Fraser Aird. That's what you're referring to. Fraser Aird's a big signing. Quite a bit of controversy carrying with his name because of a gesture he had made, and he kind of jumped around. He was a Glasgow Ranger player, ended up getting dropped down to like the 3rd division in Scotland, and then he was entirely released because of his antics at a game, and that was against Rangers. It wasn't anything that was. It was a gesture that he made, and he's been. There's a lot of controversy that's circled around his name, whether all the allegations are true or not. I don't know, but that's a guy that's got to come in and is either going to do really well, or he's going to think he's bigger than the league.
He's just going to flop,
and he's going to flop. So this is, I think, this is his last straw, buddy. You've been dropped out of everywhere in Scotland. Nobody's out. No, you're a liability. Nobody wants you. You got a chance.
Yeah.
Take it. Work.
I think he's going to be one of the few major players on this Valor team. You know, we made the joke about Ottawa having Costin a bunch of pylons or university kids.
Yeah.
Not implying that all university kids play at the caliber of a pylon, but I'm thinking this
Proof
might.
of that is Joel Waterman.
Joel Waterman. I think this Valor team might just be that. It might just be one big guy in Fraser and then some young kids that they're trying to see, okay, do you have a future in this league?
Yeah.
Can you obviously make an impact? Kind of like we've seen young guys in the professional game over in Europe do, like the Christian Pulisics and the Jadon Sanchos and stuff like that have competed. And if they weren't given that chance, like they were at their previous clubs, not so much Pulisic,
but those guys had so many chances in the past.
Sancho.
Oh, okay.
I was going to say with Sancho with Manchester City.
Okay. Yeah.
He wasn't given a chance. Went to Dortmund, got to play, and that's it. So I think, in terms
now
of
he's got one of. I think he's got one of the best records so far carrying into the year as far as goals to game ratio. I think.
yeah.
Jadon Sancho
So
does.
I feel like in
Unreal.
terms of bringing that back now to the Canadian game, I think that Valor is hoping that they're going to get some kids that are going to be possibly rookie of the year kind of thing, and if they give enough kids that playing time, that's why I said if things aren't going well, just keep rotating it. Because basically,
Tom's got to work.
something's got to work.
Yeah.
Throw enough stuff against the wall, something sticks.
Correct. Yeah. Zastel says I think some of the players are underpaid in this league, and that needs to be changed. Harry, what are your thoughts on that? Because that's a controversial one, and I know there's some we talked about because a lot of the players, guys didn't want to come back and were seeking other options elsewhere, and it was solely based on the fact that the money wasn't that good here.
Okay, let's put it this way. Okay,
Short and sweet.
Short and sweet. First season in. Okay, brand new league. Is there going to be a lot of money in the beginning? No. Will there be money in this league? Yes. Is it going to be? Where are we going to see money in the next 3 to 5 years? No. After the 5-year mark, yes, we will definitely see more money. But until we can actually see a league that is firing on all cylinders, every team is out there actually making a point, improving themselves, and the market's expanding is the biggest thing, will bring the money in. If we don't see the expansions, we don't see money coming or from you as supporters to your teams, we're not going to see any more money. So it doesn't only come down to the league, it doesn't only come down to the team, it comes down to the fans. In order for players to make more money, it's a whole circle, and it all has to be running on all cylinders.
Yeah.
That's the answer right there.
Harry, the businessman of CFN Media. No, in all honesty, I think that the moment the league can tap more into the casual fan base will be the moment that we really start delving into the profits. Because if you look in the city of Calgary, for example, there's the Flames and there are the Stampeders. Those are the only two professional sports outlets.
Well, Roughnecks as well, but lacrosse is its own.
Lacrosse is its own thing. Like, people in this city have season tickets to the Flames and the Stampeders. And the moment we can start not per se competing against the Stampeders, but being in the same sentence as those two teams, will be the moment that I think this league is going to say, okay, we've been successful.
Yeah, see, I think there's always going to be that battle in cities like Calgary where it's so hockey-driven. Hockey's always been number one here, whereas, Ontario, it's a little bit more a melting pot. Calgary is starting to, but it's still, hockey has always been the driving factor in this city, always in any sport.
It's a mosaic.
Yeah, a mosaic. Harry's a mosaic. But I would say that, like, to Harry's point and to Dylan's point, they're both bang on, and it really comes down to the reason caps are set in place is to protect, especially starting out the league, and why maybe the cap should have changed year 1 to year 2 to go up, but the reason it didn't is because you use the cap to protect the top teams and the bottom teams. You overspend, year 2 you're like, oh shit, what do we do? We're going to drop players, we're in the hole, we're buried. If you're a team that's not doing that well, the cap will keep you under and it kind of keep you afloat, and it'll keep you from folding. I know from some conversations and other, there was some teams that financially are not like in trouble, but
They're at that
they
point.
could be in trouble in the next 2 years if something doesn't change for them.
Correct.
That's the problem with these previous the previous iterations of these leagues.
Yeah.
Is simply they've gone too crazy, too fast, overspent, and there's no money left.
Overcommitted.
And honestly, we're not Europe. We don't have that money as of yet. We're
Not for
not
sport.
established.
I think this country lacks in the way because the North American sport is always so like NHL, we own all the rights to everything, so we control everything we do. Whereas football, it's like we own this and we own the broadcasting and we'll pay you money and the clubs will make money. But if your players want to go get sponsorships and make a shit ton of money over there, go do it. Like it's on you. It's your brand. So I think is where the CPL is kind of trying to find that happy medium. Whereas the priority is the league as well, and I get it, but the league is not sustainable if your players aren't well known and if your teams aren't doing well. So the league is really irrelevant at that point.
Correct.
So I think the guys, the players have a bit of freedom to do things. And I hope that doesn't change. Whereas if I want to go as a player and go get a sponsorship, regardless if, let's say, it's Volkswagen. You know what? Volkswagen isn't really going to do much for me. Obviously, they're a massive sponsor and they're bringing in money into the league. But if I can get Chevrolet to give me a car for free, because...
They make jerseys ugly.
I know, they do. That was a bad choice.
But I'm just saying, like, let's bring it to a real life workplace example. I'm a broadcaster. I've just come out of broadcasting school. I'm going to go work part-time at an organization or intern, even, for example, a paid internship. That's not going to be well paid. I'm not going to make a lot of money, but I know that in the future, 2-3 years' time, I could be making a heck of a lot more money in a really good position if I work hard and show them I'm
But that's
something.
the thing. It's not an individual thing
No.
in this league. As I said, it went back to it. It comes down to the fans. It comes down to the club. It comes down to the league. It all takes all of those to fire on all cylinders at the exact same time in order to make money.
But that's what the players' mindset is probably being right now. That's why a lot of them are still, there's some guys that have left because they weren't making enough, but there's probably a lot of guys that have that mindset.
Yeah, but there's guys that left assuming that they're going to make more money somewhere else, but they're really not.
But you got to think about it being a 21-year-old, and all of a sudden you go from like not being a professional to being a professional. In your head, it's like switch, right? I'm worth money. No.
Yeah.
Well, look in the mirror. Are you actually worth money?
No, but in your own mind, you are. But it's reality in life that settle down, know your role, go back to where you're supposed to be.
This
You're not worth anything.
league is, for all of our hockey fans out there, we are basically your AHL. Our players are developing here in the hopes that they go to a bigger league. And yes, it's the top flight for Canadian football. But in terms of the pyramid of football, we're still ranked, below 100 other countries. So these guys are here to develop, to get paid, hopefully, while they're doing it at a fair price, but, within the constrictions of the league. And then they can go and make the big bucks when they sign for a second division team over in Ireland.
Yeah, exactly.
Or
and that's where they get a little
in the
bit
middle
more
of
money.
Mongolia.
What should we jump over to? Should we jump over to the GOAT, or should we?
You know what? Yeah, we've kind of rambled on quite a bit about that. If you guys have any questions at all about any of the signings or any of the trades, get them in now because we're kind of over that part. So
It's
let's
been
get into-
exhausting trying to keep track of everything.
Yeah.
Like
It's exhausting watching
it's
you wear that
awesome.
Chelsea jersey.
I just go and put on the Canada Soccer Talk and very chastised. But as all of you know that we're
Columbus-
around and I'm
Sorry.
going to play
Prentice
for
was trying to turn on the
but the,
style. It's Fleming
Christine Sinclair,
to Leon. Sinclair wide open.
36-year-old
Is this
Canadian
it?
athlete.
It is!
185th goal. She is
Sinclair has done
now
it!
the number one goal
The
scorer
Queen of the
in
North.
women's Soccer.
How many years did that take her again?
I really would have wished that would have happened at the World Cup because I felt like she was really going for
But
it.
you know what I found? What I looked at, and this is like, I'll play devil's advocate.
I
Obviously,
agree
it's
with you.
really good for her, and to have a Canadian carrying the torch for one of the best ever to play the game is massive. But where I'll play devil's advocate again and say, Abby Wambach was the one who had the record at 184. Abby Wambach started playing in 2001, if I'm not mistaken. Since he played, it started in 2000. Wambach retired 2015. That was 5 years ago.
Correct.
So it took Cincy another few caps. I can't remember the exact number, but I think it might have been about 50 more games. Which in a women's grand scheme of thing, if you're not playing regular season, because the women's league has only been around for a little bit now. That's a lot of years. Obviously, 6 years difference between her and Wambach in playing. But
with the exception of the 1 year where our men's team went to that World Cup, the only reason why this nation has ever been relevant in the conversation of football is because
Is
of
her.
Christine Sinclair and the Team Canada women's team.
yeah, 100%. But the thing is in that other spectrum is Canada has always recognized soccer on the women's side and never really on the men's side.
Correct.
What other countries in the world recognize the women's game over the men's game?
WNBA.
U.S. is about the same.
So the two North American. Who else? No, nobody.
Yeah.
Mexico men. Anybody? You go south of the United States, everybody's men's team first.
Women's curling.
Women's curling. That's Canada. Because I don't think anybody else knows how to curl south of the United States. Not enough ice.
Hey, I've
But-
heard Japan's got a really good program. Or actually, the Chinese curling team's staying next to me here in Calgary. So,
No way.
yeah. Fun fact.
So yeah, I mean, it was the women's game has always been a staple here in this country, and she's always been a figurehead. Where if you think about women's soccer, Sinclair's always been the name. She's like
She did
Lianna,
great.
like
She
a
did great.
Lianna. It's
She
massive.
without her, being the poster child for women's footy in Canada, she would never put us on the map. So
She's inspired
job
a
to
lot
her.
of players.
definitely, and
In
she's
this
still
nation.
inspiring young kids these days. Kids that are still watching this and understanding. Maybe you've put in some extra. You had to put in an extra 50 caps. You played an extra 6 seasons to achieve it. But that shows you one thing. Like, she is that good of a player, and yes, it took her a little bit of time, but she waited till that final moment to get to where she wanted, and yes, she had to put extra time and extra effort to get to that point.
Yeah.
But she did it. She didn't care about the age. She didn't care about her physique. She got there, and she did it. She achieved it.
My concern with that is that, she's been a figurehead of this program, but Wombat retired because I felt like she could, because she was passing on the torch. When Christine Sinclair retires, who is she passing that torch on to? Because we don't really have a superstar right now.
Well, we don't
Well,
know
Julia
of any.
Grosso's coming in. You got Leon who's coming in, and now I'm starting to make. Harry loves her, by the way. She's coming in and making a name and doing pretty
I'm
well.
blushing.
Jordan Heitema is the torchbearer. I think she is the next end all be all for Canada. She's 17 right now. That's Alfonso Davies, which is funny because the next up and comer on the women's side is dating Alfonso Davies, who's our #1 player right now. If I'm not mistaken, judging by like the TikToks and stuff.
Mhm.
If you want to follow Funny Canadian on TikTok, and if you're on TikTok, it's Alfonso Davies. That kid is hilarious. He makes fun of Robert Lewandowski and mimics his celebrations as they're running out to the field and training. Like he's that character, right? Sean Clark, any updates on the number of season tickets that have been sold by Calvary?
I think they dropped.
Do you really
this
think I could say that? Answer to that question, Sean? Come on, man.
They dropped from last season.
Killing me.
I think they're.
You're
gonna,
trying to trigger an answer out of me that I can't give you.
I think they're gonna go. Oh,
Sorry, Sean. I tried.
He tried. He really almost swindled me into saying something there.
but so you think we have an Alex Morgan basically coming up in our women's national
Yeah,
team?
yeah.
It's a quiet
Well,
one.
so Logan Krupa, is there anyone close to Sinclair Wombat in scoring? Yeah, it's her. It's Alex Morgan was, but she's getting up there in age as well. Alex Morgan's got to be 30.
No way, is she already?
I think so.
Oh.
I could be way off there.
No way. She can't be that old. Oh my goodness, she is.
Is she 30?
She's 30.
That's why I love her. Sorry.
I thought she was still like that young 22-year-old.
No, yeah. That was a long time. That was 8 years ago now.
Oh, I would rescind my statement then. She's not really the one to pass the torch on then, obviously.
No, they have some other younger ones, but like what was it? Sydney LaRue is the one that was Canadian, but ended up going to play for the U.S. and then she was shushing the Canadian, so Canada turned their entire back on her. I think she went and had a kid, and
Kind of just disappeared.
then it hasn't really done anything since. So she might be coming back, obviously, once baby's old enough.
Any other questions?
That's always one that I found was weird, and they talked about. I can't remember who it was. And
She's
this is
already
not
almost
words-
32 though.
Who's Sydney LaRue?
Yeah, she's
Oh,
29.
see?
So that era of like, it's just crazy.
Don't be scared. Don't worry.
What
You're
the
gonna
comment-
see. There's gonna be young kids coming through the program that you're gonna be like, holy shit! Like, there's actually talent. And
Canada's
you're gonna
got
rescind
some.
what you just said tonight.
Canada's got some up and comers.
I don't want to be that doubter, right?
You
But
are.
you are that guy.
It's because you're wearing that jersey.
You took the words right out of my mouth. But I mean, obviously, it's an incredible feat for Canada soccer for Christine Sinclair and that women's program. Like, somebody get her, just put her in the Hall of Fame right now.
Yeah.
Like,
So very
she's incredible. She's earned it. Should she hang him up? So here's the thing. You look at her. She's definitely looking like she's lost a step or two.
Who's that?
Sinclair.
I think you could argue that was
She's
the
lost-
case at the World Cup.
Yeah.
I'm being nice. Being nice, Harry. A step. She lost a step.
She lost.
She lost this. Just we don't need to go there. She's lost a step and 5.
You don't need a pass or a pacey striker. They're overrated. Look at Ibra.
Yeah, he's not quick. He's just good at kicking the ball at the net.
That's it. That's all he can do.
That's all you need to do. And that's all Sinclair does, really.
I get it, but still at the same time, you know what? No, I'm done.
So if
We talked about this last time though. Like if you said if you were Sinclair and you got the record, you would hang up your boots there and then.
Right there, then. The fact that she's going to continuously keep playing is a stupid move on her part.
So this is what I was gonna. This is my point was gonna be, or my question was gonna be to both of you. So this is obviously the qualifying for the Olympics. She done? Would you say Olympics qualify? Don't play in the Olympics, or would you leave her on the roster and maybe not play?
No, retire, finish, jump on the coaching staff.
Done.
That's where you belong. You do not belong on the pitch anymore.
You've done what you need
Get-
to do. Yeah.
It's
Get off the
it's
pitch.
funny too because
Carly Lloyd,
Get-
Carly Lloyd from the U.S. is the next 121 goals, so she's
okay, yeah,
up there. But I think Carly Lloyd isn't that young either.
yeah. We'll have to ask
might have
Mr.
to ask Mr. Googly. But yeah, like I think Harry, you're pretty angry. you're pretty bang on.
I'm not angry.
No, you're-
prior to, but
You're pretty bang on with that to say that it's you know what it is.
it's fine.
It's maybe just you know what you've done.
It's like that carton of milk that's expired in your fridge. Do you leave it
Yeah.
or do you throw it away?
You
Sweden
stay, you might tarnish your name. I think.
Sweden
Correct.
did better at the World Cup without Ibra than with,
That's true.
because I felt like there was always that, well, Ibra will bail us out of it.
Sinclair's done.
Sinclair
She's
would always bail us out of situations. We needed a
She's
golden
like an
goal.
anchor on a boat.
She would bail
She's
us.
done.
She would bail us out. And then we got to the World Cup last year. We needed a goal, and she didn't step up.
Sinclair's
I think it's
done,
because
bro.
everybody was giving her everybody.
But that's what I'm saying. Like
What's
I
going
think
on,
that
Amy?
era,
How's it going, brother?
that era is done.
Thanks for watching.
That Christine
Amy's,
Sinclair
Harry's
is
doppelganger,
over.
older
Hi,
brother.
Amy.
They look identical. You should see Amy. They're identical. Amy just looks more compressed than Harry, but they're identical.
More compressed.
Yeah, he's shorter. He's like
It's a
little
PNG, not a JPEG.
bit- Harry is no. Don't say that reference to Harry because he's going to be looking. He's trying to Google on his phone a PNG.
I lost my phone. I don't remember I put it now.
At some point in time, if you remember at what point in time Harry's phone disappeared in the broadcast, please let us know. But yeah, I mean, really on that, we're an hour and just pushing an hour and 20
We should
minutes,
probably
hour and 18
disappear,
minutes
but
now.
Sinclair's done. Honestly, that's it. She's a sinking boat from here on in. You're going to hold back the rest of your players, even the young kids that could make an opportunity and make an appearance. Get off the pitch. Realize it now.
Don't tarnish your name now. You've done.
That's
you've
it.
Done. You've
You
done
are
your
done.
thing.
It's complete.
You've done your thing. Walk away.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't pull a Stevie G and have an absolute terrible World Cup and then retire.
Yeah, drop the mic. You broke the record. You got nothing else left to prove. Let the young ones step in and go in and prove something in the Olympics.
Pull a
And
Rooney.
you help them get.
Somebody put
Over
this
it.
on. Somebody take a video of this and hashtag Sinclair in this. Like, you're done.
Be nice.
But she was awesome. I'm not saying I dislike you, Sinclair.
Someone just
But you're done.
Zasto just said Ibrahimovic will slap you. Yes, he will, and that's what made him really good. He's one of those guys that will slap you. Like I remember him kicking his own players in the head during interviews. Like Ibrahimovic is the man.
Have you read his book? It's actually really good. I enjoy the obviously he didn't write it himself, but I think he definitely has a very interesting story to tell.
He's very intelligent.
He went in and just tore Pep Guardiola a new one.
Yeah.
He
Pep
hated.
deserves
He was
that.
when he was at Barcelona. He was like, "Sell me to Real. I want to be with Jose Mourinho." And they were like, "Yeah, we're not doing that." So they sold him back to Italy.
Yeah. But really, on that note, do you guys have anything else to say?
No.
Please don't send this to Christine Sinclair.
No, please do.
You are a national icon.
Why not? You don't want her to watch? You don't want any other conversation happening? We definitely do. Sinclair, hang up your boots. It's done. Thank you very much for everything you've done for our country.
So don't think backhanded when Harry says, "Thank you very much." Get over here. No, you know what? Obviously, thank you for everyone that chimed in, everyone that was watching live and that stuck through it. But you got anything else you want to add?
No.
Harry, anything else you want to add?
Nope. Good show. Thank you very much
Guy
for
on?
being out there. Thank you very much for interacting with us, sending your questions. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, and I guess on that note, we'll see you in a couple weeks.
2 weeks from now, Thursday, 8 p.m. Mountain Time. Tune in. If you got any questions, send them to us. DM us on Instagram. We're CFN Media now on all platforms. No longer Canada Food News. Why? because there's a couple things that happen in the CFN world that you will know about soon enough. But
Press release will happen shortly.
we will not tell you, and the press releases are coming soon, but these are massive deals for CFN. On that note, thank you, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Wonderful.